many people have their Bibles here? Okay, open to their Bibles. Fantastic. All right. I want you to open to Numbers 13 from 27. Continue to about 33. Later, later, after they'd given this report, and we know the story. We know the story. After they'd given this report, and it's so fantastical, and Caleb said, "No, we are well able. Silence. Hush." After everything had been said and done, belief, unbelief, good report, bad report, whatever. Um, God said when he was getting back to Moses on what he thought about the whole scenario, he said, the Lord replied, and this is Moses asking for pardon. Forgive us for not believing you the first time, you know. It was scary. It was very, very scary. And God replied, I have forgiven them as you asked. Nevertheless, everybody say nevertheless. As surely as I live. It's almost like God is saying, I swear by myself. He said, I've forgiven them. Moses is like, you want forgiveness? I've forgiven you. But nevertheless, I swear by myself. As surely as I live. Now, God went into details to quantify his nevertheless. I've forgiven you. Nevertheless, as surely as I live, as surely as the glory of the Lord fills the whole earth, not one of those who saw my glory and the signs I performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, but disobeyed me and tested me 10 times, not one of them will ever see the land I promised on oath to their ancestors. Why? He said, no one who has treated me with contempt will ever see it. But because my servant Caleb has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land he went to, and his descendants will inherit it. Nevertheless, I've forgiven them. Nevertheless, as surely as I live, as surely as my name is God, as surely as my glory covers the earth, as surely as the sun rises and sets, nevertheless, not one of those who saw my glory. In other words, he's saying, nevertheless, not one of those, these ones, I've been showing them who I am. They're not ignorant to who I am. They've seen my glory. He said they saw my glory. They saw the signs I performed in Egypt. They saw me part the sea. They saw me feed them. These same ones, they tried me. God is like 10 times. It means he was counting. It's like, I did the first one. I did the second one. I killed the Egyptians' children. Do you know how ridiculous it is? I killed them for you. And then I asked you to go to them that were mourning and ask them for their gold. And made them give it to you. So imagine this scenario. Someone is crying. Your child has died. You lived in their house. Then is that day you decided, the day the child died, the day you decided to go. You now come in and say, and they're like, oh my God, Titi has died. And then you're like, I heard. And it was the mail, right? Tunde has died. Like, I heard. I'm so sorry. They're like, there's wailing across the land. Like, everybody's son has died. And you're like, not really everybody. Our own sons they're okay. It's people from your tribe. They're like, what? What? It's like, that's how we woke up to see it. Then, I'm so sorry for your loss. However, I have to take my leave now. You're going now? Now that I need you so much. Like, you've lived with us for 20 years. That's how we see it. Then as you are going out of the door, you now stop, you now say, excuse me, ma, I'm really sorry. But that gold chain that you wear for parties, can you give me as I'm going, as a parting gift? Do you know how ridiculous the Bible is? If you actually read it for what it is. It's a ridiculous book. But you see, God could have said, I will make the Egyptians give them of their own accord. He said, Moses, I have placed it in the Egyptians' heart to give, but ask them, tell them to ask. I've placed it in their heart, but tell them to do the ridiculous. Tell them to ask people who are mourning. In other words, it's like they sacked you from your job. You're like, they sacked me. Yeah, let me just be going. But sir, as I'm going, can I have that company car? That's what he said. I have done the thing. Ask them to do the thing. As ridiculous as it may seem. Because it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Some of the things God will ask you to do is ridiculous. But you see, he's like, but I've finished it. That's why I can ask them to ask the ridiculous. And then he says, this person that I have shown the ridiculous, that I made a way in the wilderness, that I part the sea, that I fed, they now came to the land I promised them. They now saw these people. They now said, we're not able. I brought water out of the rock. Like, it's almost like, what have I not done? What have I not done to assure you that I am present? What have I not done to assure you that your back will never be on the ground? What have I not done to show you that you go and meet? It's not even an impossibility like the Red Sea or the sea that I parted. It's people that you just looked at their faces and you forgot who I am. And you elevated them above me. What God said is that you held me in contempt. You minimized me. Me. You saw people. I've given you the land. I told you I've given it to you. The same way I told you I'll bring you out of Egypt. The same way I told you I will take you through the sea. The same way I told you, everything I told you I have done. It's not just that I am faithful, it's that's not just my name. That's who I am. But you then went to submit a proposal. And then you came out and said, I don't think I'll get it. They didn't really like me. They didn't really talk to me. It's like me. So it's like God is like me. It's the same way he told Saul, who became Paul. Who? Saul said, who are you? When he stopped him on the way, when he's going to persecute Christians. It's like, who are you? It's like, I'm the one you persecute. It's like, I'm the one you're persecuting. Saul was not persecuting God. Actually, Saul thought he was doing the work for God. If you study the book, Saul thought he was doing the work for God. He would go to the priests. The people of the religious days, like having a new church, and then they tell you to go and destroy the church because the church is not of God. So Saul thought he was doing the work. He would get letters from the priests to go and destroy these new people called Christians who are doing it. And he was like, who are you who's stopping me? He said, I am Jesus, who you persecute. In other words, he's saying that you touched Jola means you touched me. That you appeared before them means I appeared before them. And you, in all my glory and all my splendor, you carried me, you took me to the boardroom, and then you came out and you said, I don't think they like me. Me. And he says, it's because you forgot. You've forgotten. But this is what he did to the children of Israel. You, only 10 times. Only 10. You've done your own like 78 times. In fact, every day you are doing that, it gives you one miracle. You're like, oh, Father, thank you. Oh, how are we going to get the visa? Okay, God has given us the visa. How are we going to get the ticket money now? You've done your own 1,000,001 times. But this time around, he's like, no, this one I will in no wise cast out. I will continue. In fact, it's like, because I know she will forget for her entire life, I will now send her Paracletos to be reminding her every time when I do something, like, remember what God did. Remember what God did. It's like, oh, okay, take one step, forget. Remember for the rest of your life. And then he says, but for how long? Like, how long do I have to remind you of who I am? I want someone to open to Isaiah 55:5. Yeah, anyone? Isaiah 55:5. Surely you will summon nations you know not. And nations you do not know will come running to you because of the Lord your God.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of Israel.
For he has endowed you.
He has endowed you
with splendor.
With splendor. This has been my verse for almost like 10 years. Just, surely you will summon nations you don't know, and nations that don't know you will come running to you because of the Lord your God. Because the Holy One, he has endowed you with splendor. So, when people say things like, oh, this person comes and that person comes, it's because I've been saying this for years. Years. Nations can mean nations as entities, geographical entities. Nations can mean people. And so, I'm not that surprised by the type of people that come. Even if they don't know their nations when they come. Just like, thou art a nation because you came. But he says, you will summon them. In other words, he's saying to do what he asked the Israelites to do. Do your own work. He's like, he didn't say surely they will come to you. He said surely you will call them. You will summon them. But he says it's not because of you they will come. It's because of me. Because just like I did to the Egyptians, I've already commanded them to come. But your responsibility is to do the summoning. Your responsibility is to organize that meeting. Your responsibility is to do that program. Your responsibility is to create that product. I've done the work. I've done the work. Your responsibility is to welcome that idea. Is to let the green settle in your world of blue. I've done the work. Nehemiah 6 verse 10 says, afterwards, this is Nehemiah talking about something was happening and some people had come to give him a report. All this is about report, what you hear, what you see. Someone had come to give him a report. And he said, afterwards I came into the house of Shemaiah, the son of Deliah, the son of Mehitabil, who was shut up. And he said, let us meet together in the house of God, within the temple. let us shut the doors of the temple, for they will come and slay thee. In other words, they are coming to kill you. This market is not great. I don't know what's happening to the economy. Let us go and just protect ourselves. Let us save our money. Let us self-preserve. Let us hide in a corner. For they will come. He didn't say they may come to kill you. He said they will come to kill you. In the night, they will come to slay thee. And Nehemiah said, should such a man as I flee? And who is there that being as I am will not go to the temple to save his life? I will not go. I will not flee. I will not self-preserve. I will not do this thing that you and the economy is telling me to do. I will not flee. And lo, I perceived that God had not sent him, but he pronounced this prophecy against me, for Tobiah and Sanballat had hired him. Therefore he was hired, that I should be afraid. Therefore he was hired, that I should be afraid, and do so and sin, that they may have matter for an evil report, that they may reproach me. So Nehemiah is like, look, I know Sanballat and Tobiah, they've been trying. Some of you are like, look, I know the people around me, they've been mocking. They tried this one, it didn't work. They tried to get me down from the wall, it didn't work. They tried. Then they not only finished trying, they now hired somebody, a prophet, to come to me and say, surely you shall be dead. Come and hide here. And Nehemiah said, should such a man as I. But you see, he wasn't necessarily saying to such a man as I, as much as he was saying, should such a man as I with the backing of God go and flee? Should I hide? After all God has told me to do, should I hide? And he said, I perceived that this report, this one is not God. This one who's telling me to hide, this one who's telling me, maybe not now. This one who is telling me you can't afford it. This one who is telling me people will not come for this program. This one who is telling me, what are you even selling? Look at your clients are going down. This, whatever the report is, that is not God. He's like, I perceived that this was not of God. Not only did I perceive that this is not of God, I perceived he had been hired, that I should be afraid. It's not a human being that will hire people. Right now, you and I, it's the devil that's going to be hiring people. People's mouth, people's reports, people's feedback, but he's hiring them that you should be afraid. He will hire the economy. He will hire anything he can hire. He will hire the stock exchange. After all, he's the God of this world. Anything, sound waves, airwaves, radio, TV, they're going to hire everything. The end goal is that you should be afraid. And in doing so, sin. Because Nehemiah is not talking about sin of, it's like, if I enter and flee and I doubt this God, I've done what children of Israel, I've sinned. I've held him in contempt. Let's open to John 14, verse 20. John 14, 20. John 14, 20. Someone should please read for me John 14, 20. Anyone? When I do what?
I am raised to life again.
You will know.
You will know that I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. Those who accept my commandments and obey them are the ones
That's
who
okay.
love me.
I just want 20.
Just 20. Got it.
It says here, on that day, you will what? You will what? You will come into the conscious awareness that I am in my Father, you are in me, I am in you. In other words, please can you help me with a glass? A glass, like yes. He says, in that day, and that day could be any day. Whenever you wake up is your morning, right? Is there coffee there? Is there coffee there? Please give me coffee. Bring the glass with the coffee. Thank you. It's like in that day, whenever that day is, whenever that day dawns, give me coffee and give me milk. Yes. Like mix the coffee. I want it to be liquid. Thank you. Milk liquid, coffee liquid, and then bring the glass. Donald, bring the glass. Thank you. This Bible study, Bible class. All right, guys, speed up, speed up. Milk, milk, coffee. Where's the coffee? No, I want the milk separately from the coffee. Coffee separate, milk separate. We're about to illustrate John 14. Hello. This I've entered Bible class because who you are is going to show up. Cannot be preaching, then the teaching side of me I was like, hello, I'm here. Do you know that what sea did the Israelites cross? Was it the Red Sea? Was it the Jordan? What sea? The Red Sea. Fantastic. When I was reading the Bible, I was like, oh, they crossed the Red Sea. Fantastic. They crossed the Red Sea. Oh, great. I was reading that part over and over again, and the Holy Spirit kept saying, read it again. I'll read it again. I'm like, I've acknowledged you parted the sea. It's okay. And they walk on dry land. Wow, 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 wow. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You are mighty. Like, read it again. I'm like, You parted it. You held it up. It didn't fall. You are mighty. It's like, read it again. And then, as I was reading it again, he was like, that's not the only thing I did. That's not the only thing I did. And I heard it like someone was grieving. Like, that's not the only thing I did. Read it again. And so I read it again. I'm like, yeah, the east wind blew. Okay, maybe I didn't recognize the wind. So you send the wind. It's like, that's not the only thing I did. So I read it again. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, light bulb. And I don't know how the Holy Spirit talks to you, but this is how he talks to me. It's like, finally, she caught it. Do you know how deep the Red Sea is? Yeah? The seabed. How deep it is. And he said, they walked on dry land. Do you know how many days it would have taken them to go down to the seabed? Then walk, then. It's like, I didn't just part the sea. That's what you've been taught. What I did was I parted, then I elevated, then they passed. Or else, they would have been building staircase to go down all night. But you see, because you've been taught one thing, you're going to stay there. And he's like, no, I elevated the seabed. Then they crossed. Because the sea is too deep. It's not from here to, not 5 staircase. They would have been building for at least maybe 1 month the staircase to pass. And that's what I call a contributory miracle, to give you the miracle that you want. The things that are kind of negligible. You see the miracle, but you don't know the other parts that were moved. He's like, look, so sometimes when it's not working out the way you want it to work out, he's like, contributory miracles. Allow me do the work. All right. He said, on that day, you'll realize. Can everybody see my glass? Yeah? I'm going to put it down. So let's say, we have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Yeah? We have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Let me tell you what happened on this day. On this day, God changed the structure of the Trinity. Literally. Literally. There's Father, there's Son, and there's you. It's like in that day, after I have been raised up, or whenever you come into the awareness, on that day, whenever that day is, you realize that you are not my child, and I'm your father, and there's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit acting on the behalf of Jola or Keju. You realize that you have become my partner, the same way as Paul said, let her come in. It's the same way the Father said, let her come in. What he did, because Trinity has to be Trinity, what he did is like, you know what, there has to be three of us. Holy Spirit, there are four. You are going to be a Pecha. So maybe not, let me not make you a Pecha. Let me take you, you know what, I'm going to take you and put you inside. This is the equation to make the Trinity, the holy equation. Like, so you know what, I will take you, I'll put you inside her. I'll take you, I'll put you inside her, so that we still form the Trinity. Either way, it's still three. So that's why he's like, okay, that's one of the promise of the Father, is that immediately you accept him, like, now, because there cannot be four. That's why you are not separate from the Spirit. That's why you are Spirit. Any separation is an illusion. You are Spirit. He's in you, you're in him. It's like, look, you are Spirit. You are Spirit. There's no I am. You know how you're like, you're a flesh, you have an intellectual mind, you live in, you are Spirit. You are not separate. You are Spirit. And he says, this is the new, before there was Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and man. There was the Trinity, and then there was man. By John 14, he says, when I rise, after I have paid the price and I rise, we're back to the Garden of Eden. In that day, on that day, or whenever you come to the awareness of what I did, you realize that I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. Full stop. You realize that we form Trinity. That's why you can't be waiting to ask. And this sounds a bit blasphemous for Christians. You can't be waiting forever to know the will of God. What you think is his will. In that day, this is Father, this is Son. Sorry? Thanks. This is not Spirit now. This is you. No, you are going to be black. So you are coffee. Father is the boss. Son is milk, because he had the milk of human kindness. He says in that day, this is how our equation is. You realize, this is Jesus speaking. Father is already seated there. He says in that day you realize that I am in my Father. And you are in me. And I am in you. Just in case the mix was not strong enough. So, this is now what it looks like. I want to put it in the clear glass. In that day, you realize that this is how we are. Please pray, tell me, how are you separating to say, what's your will? What's your own thoughts? What's your word? What are you thinking that I'm not thinking? Are we of the same mind? Should I do this? Can I do this? Will people buy from me? What do you think? Should I take the step? He's like, it's like, oh, we tell her that she's me, that he's me, that I am him, that if he thinks it, it's because I thought it. Who will tell them that we have formed Trinity? And Trinity is, from the beginning we know Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing divided, everything in one. Who will we tell them that we are literally one? And so when Jesus rose, he said, Father, I pray for them. This is the prayer I'm praying for them, that they may be even as we are. In other words, let them come into the awareness of their oneness with you. Let them come into the awareness of the fact that Trinity cannot fail. Let them come into the awareness of the fact that Trinity cannot fail. And they are not Orifie and God. It is just God. Let them stop writing I am God with a small g, as if they're insulting me, if they wrote it with a big G. You own the name. You own the title deed. And then he was like, you know what? Holy Spirit, we didn't really bounce you. It's not that we bounced you. We just need someone every now and again to stay with this one for the rest of our life. To remind her constantly, because she has left one realm and has gone to the other realm, and in that realm she will forget. They will brainwash her to think, because she has landed in the kingdom of chickens, but she landed as a baby eagle. I sent her from one dimension to the other dimension, but you know, like Superman, from one dimension to the other dimension, you live as king in one dimension, you enter the other dimension as baby. So you have to relearn stuff. And they will try to convince him, and they will try to convince her that she's just like us. Remind her that she's not like them. She's not of them. She's sent on an assignment for an assignment, and she's returning home, and time is ticking. And we need her to get to doing, because we're paralyzed by her amnesia. We are paralyzed by the fact that she doesn't remember where she came from or all the things she was resourced with. As she was going, we gave her 10 boxes, luggages. We gave her wealth. We gave her honor. We gave her, glory. We gave her riches. We gave her wisdom. We gave her knowledge. We said, these are your strength. This is your 7 luggages. You're living one dimension. 7 luggages. Carry it. Don't forget. Don't forget. You're like, no, I won't forget. Send me. Send me. Send me. You will forget. You will forget. You will forget. But I will send someone every now and again to remind you. He's going to be with you. You're going to start having these things. It looks like deja vu. You will call it deja vu. It's not really deja vu. is you remembering that you've seen this entire thing before. Because you are God. You literally are me. You've seen this entire existence before. So every now and again, you will see a flash and you'll be like, I've seen this person before. But because you're in another dimension, you don't quite remember that you are God. That's why he says, I've placed eternity in your heart. You know everything. You know everything. You're connected to the portal. You know everything. But you will forget, because the dimension you're coming from and the dimension you're going to are so far apart that I already know that there's going to be amnesia, but I've taken care of that. Every now and again, when I see you struggle, when I see you forget, I will send someone to remind you of who you are, to remind you to sit down with me, to remind you. And every now and again, when someone talks to you in a way that is not your identity, that's why you revolt when you're disrespected. That's why when you are broke, you are not happy. Because it's not your nature to lack. You are prince. You are princess where you're coming from. You like being waited on hands and foot. It's like, remember who you are. That's why when you talk like they talk, there's something scratching you on your inside saying you are royalty, you're a bit more than this. Remember who you are. And he says, in that day you will remember. In that day you come to the realization. But because this was such a messy equation, he's like, okay, I will send them, then I'll send you Jesus, and then Jesus, you have to do this, then you have to win them back because they'll be lost. They will not remember. There's this whole mess. Okay, Jesus is like, I finished the work. Now it's time for them to remember. Almost like their eyes will be blinded until you've done your work. And Jesus is like, fantastic, I finished the work. It's time for their eyes to be open. And he says, fantastic, let's now do it. But their eyes will be open in parts. Every now and again, as they take the first step, their eyes are open. They take the second step, their eyes are open. They take the third step, their eyes are open. They sit with me, their eyes are open. They surround themselves with people like me, their eyes are open. That's why they know their company. They start finding each other. They start finding each other. They hear each other speak and they know that this person, I've known this person from somewhere before I met this person here. We existed in a kingdom. My name is not really Umfon. My name from where I'm coming from is Darash. It's sought after. It's like you will open this book, you will find your name there. There's something that will leap out. He's like, you will be called the repairer of the breach. You will make your spirit jump. You will like, oh, why am I jumping at this part? You're like, because this is written of me here. You will start to discover who you are. You will start to see, you're like, I like helping people. I like liberating people. Why am I using all my money to set them free? It's like, because that's who you are. That's why you were sent. That's why you were sent. That's why you were sent. And then he will say, so remind her that everything she needs to fulfill that thing that I sent her for, she has it. Remind her of the luggage. Remind her of her 7 boxes she carried from one dimension to the other. She's forgotten the luggage. Now, because the luggage from one dimension to the other, it's not tangible. It's intangible. It's a bit invisible. Remind her to use the eye, put on the binoculars of the spirit to see the luggage. Then remind her to now access the luggage and bring it to the physical so she can use it. Remind them. Remind him that you are in this world, but you are not of this world. You are not human. You are not limited by the laws of nature. That's not who you really are. You are not broke. You are not confused. You cannot be confused. Trinity is not confused. Even if you are confused as human, all you have access to me directly. Ask me. That's why he said, you will ask me. And I will show you great and mighty things that you know not of. You will remember. You'll start to talk to me more than you talk to your situations and circumstances. You will remember. You will start to remember who you are. And when you remember, when you find your company, he says, don't go back. Immerse yourself in the knowledge of who you are. Get understanding. Work the muscle. You haven't been working it before. You spent 20 years thinking you were a chicken. And it's like, now start flying. You fly the first time. You might hit the roof. Then you break the coop. Then you realize, oh, I'm not supposed to be in a shelter. I'm supposed to be flying in the air. Then I'm like, I'm flying around Nigeria. I'm not really supposed to be flying around Nigeria. I'm supposed to be flying everywhere else. I'm supposed to be moving. And so when I travel, my spirit is excited because that's who I am. And when people treat me in the way that I should be treated, like royalty, that's who I am. But you see, it's like, but there's a God of this world. There's this person that really wants her to be down. So he might try to tie her up in a marriage that belittles her consistently, so that even when she's trying to rise, it's like, calm down, who do you think you are? But remind her that even that choice is hers. Remind her that was not the purpose. That is so minimal. Remind her that at every point in time, when she remembers who she is, or when he remembers who he is, he can take the helm of the ship. And then the devils will start revolting, and then they will start shaking. Tell her to keep her hands on the rudder. Surround her with people who will keep her hands there even when her hands are shaking. Let her muscles get stronger. Remind her that she will turn the ship. Speedboats turn easily, but ships, big, mighty ships, don't turn. She has to keep the rudder in position. As she holds the rudder in position long enough, it seems nothing is happening the first month. Nothing may be happening the second. Nothing may be happening in the third. It's because she's not a speedboat. She's a vessel. What she carries is not 4 children. What she carries is nations. Imagine nations on the vessel. And so she might hold the rudder, but tell her to hold the rudder in place. Tell him to hold the rudder in place long enough. She should not let go of her confession of faith, because faithful is he who has promised. The ship will turn. The rudder in place. I don't care what you see. Hold the rudder in place. Hold the rudder in place. Find your company. Find the people that even when your arms get weary, they tie sellotape on the hand and say, hold it in place. This is not who you are. You're exercising your muscle. You're exercising your muscle. You're exercising your muscle. Hold the rudder in place. Suddenly, it appears suddenly, but the world doesn't know you've been holding that rudder for 10 years in place. They don't know you've been holding it for 1 year. They don't know you've been holding it for 6 months. They don't even believing on that thing. Suddenly, the ship starts to turn. They start to say, who is she? Who is he? Who are these ones that look like they've been with Jesus? Who are these ones that look like they've been sitting with the master? Who are these ones who dare the enemy? Who are these ones who say, who are you? Who am I? Do you know who my Father is? Who are these ones? Why so bold? Where did they come from? How come I'm just hearing about some fun? How come I've never heard about you before? Where did you come from? Where have you been all my life? We've been waiting for someone like you. You're like, I was holding the rudder. Because if the devil can get you to anything, he doesn't care about your car, he doesn't care about whatever. It's just all that he cares about is to deal consistently enough with you that you forget your identity, who you are. and who your father is, and that you are queen. And that there's a kingdom that when you walk, they literally, like coming to America, they throw rose petals on the floor. There's gold. It's like your kingdom. In your kingdom, if you live in a mansion, like if there were no mansions, I will not tell you. Like in the kingdom, your brother is prince of the entire universe. In your kingdom, you call legions of angels, and they literally are in awe of you. They're like, oh my God. Even as you are on earth, like angels are looking at you like, she has opened one eye. Whoa. In your kingdom, anything is possible. Anything. In your kingdom, you literally pull things from the air and you speak and it's created. Like that's where you were coming from. You would walk, you would have a thought, it's created. You'd be moving, you have a thought, it's created. Remind her how to think. Remind her that she used to create from a place of thought in her kingdom. That she didn't need to work with her hands. All she needed to do was think it and it would be created. It's still that same principle, but she has to relearn it. She has to relearn it. She has to fight the distractions. He has to fight the distractions. He has to remember how he creates. He has to remember his superpower. His superpower is creation. Your superpower is that you can create anything. Because I am creator and I'm in her and she's in me. Her superpower, his superpower is that whatever she wants to create, she creates, both good and bad. She's using her superpower, but she's not really aware of it. She's been creating haphazardly. Sometimes she'll be like, I just thought of that person and that person came. He's like, oh my God, she didn't remember. It's like, oh, I just thought of that person. That person picked up their phone and called. And like, such a coincidence. And angels are like, oh, well. It's not a coincidence. That's who you are. You think it and it happens. You think it and it happens. You think it and it happens. That's who you are. But you see, you've forgotten. And so when it happens, you're like so excited. He's like, stop the excitement. Remember who you are. Exercise the muscle long enough that you are literally creating again, that you literally start testing things around your house, that you literally start saying, okay, let me think of this person, let me start calling that person, let me start calling that thing, let me work that muscle, let me take that muscle to the gym, let me remember who I am creator. You are exactly made in the same image and likeness of your Father. You create. You cannot help but create. It's not what you do, it's who you are. And he says, remind him, remind her, remind them. Remind them not to be conformed to this world's standards, not to care about what they're going to eat, what they're going to drink, how they're going to clothe. It's like, do you know who your Father is? Do you know that everything from the sunset to the lilies, he's really prepared this place because he knows his child is here. It's like the Prince of Zamunda is coming to Africa. Prepare the way, put flowers here, throw these ones here, throw sunset. She cannot be living in Lagos, be shouting mushi, mushi, mushi. Let her believe enough to go and get a house wherever she wants to get a house in. Tell her that she can do wherever she wants to. Like, she can literally start to create her world. If she wants opulence, it's in her power to create. Tell my child that she is princess living like peasant. And all of us are literally the entire witnesses in heaven are literally watching and saying, does she remember? Not yet. Does she remember? We're hoping. Does she remember? She's taking a step. Does she remember? How do we get her into that room? We've tried. She has paid her first deposit. She thinks it's about money masterclass. It's not about money masterclass. It's about the fact that I want to remind her that even this money she's looking for, she doesn't have to look for it. It's like, how do we get her in the room? We're prodding her. We will not allow. She's told herself she will not go. Send her friend, pinch her friend. Let her friend pinch her. Drag her. She cannot be living like this. We're all waiting. We're waiting. Is she awake yet? She has opened one eye. She's considering it. Is she awake yet? Oh, she has shut it down again. Angels, what can you do? Shut everything down. Do whatever. Do you know how many legions of angels were working to get you here? Do you know how heaven was in? Get them. Get them. Don't let them go. Drag them back. Hold them. Get them. Spirit, you have to help. Move in. Army, move. She cannot go. We cannot allow her. She's about to give up. Let her husband tell her to go. And then it's like, has she come? She's at the gate. She's at the gate. She's at the gate. First day, she's learning. It's like she's starting to remember. Starting to remember. Second day, she can't sleep. Starting to remember. Third day, there's applause. It's like her eyes, they're opening. She's beginning to see things that she didn't see before. She's beginning to see how unlimited she is. It's a cloud of witnesses saying, don't read that text message. Don't listen to that phone call. It's okay. You're in the right place. You're in the right place. You're with the right company. You're with the right company. Don't let the news from wherever it's coming from distract you. Don't let the sickness distract you. It's like he knows he's fighting. He's fighting. Fight for her too, because she's in the right place. And all the witnesses are going like, she's awake. He's awake. He's awake. He doesn't yet know how to move his leg, but he's okay. He's awake. He's awake. She's awake. You are awake. And he says it took a long time, but it was worth it. And heaven is smiling. And they're like, angels, now gather the resources, start to bombard her life with all the resources she needs. Once she asks, open the door. Once she moves, put the sheaves on the way, that as she walks, as she moves, if she believes in the principle of movement, as she moves, as she asks, as they say no, she's going to go back. She's going to go back. She's going to go back. He's going to go back. He's going to ask for what he is worth. He's going to charge what he is worth. She's going to start creating her world. She's going to start writing those dreams. She's going to start writing those plans. She's going to take that marriage and put it back on the table, because she's like, I am creator. This marriage is not the way I want it to be. I am creator. You married me. Therefore, I take you and I put you back on the table. And I will create the situations and circumstances that I want, because I am God. God is me. We are Trinity. This marriage cannot have Trinity in it and be this way. This business cannot have Trinity in it and be this way. I remember. And I don't care how long I have to hold that ruler in place. I don't care how long I have to hold that ruler in place. You will change. You're Superman from another planet. You're X-Men. You have superpowers. This is Xavier School. We just reminded you. It's like in take inventory of your greatness. Start to remember who you are. Start to remember things you did as a child. Start to remember the audacity of your hope. Start to remember the way you used to walk. Before the world told you you could not ask for what you wanted. Start to remember how you used to talk. Start to remember the dreams of your heart. Start to remember why you are here. Start to remember the company of people you want. Start to remember the kind of friends you want to surround yourself with. Start to remember the situation, circumstance, the condition. Start to remember. Start to create. 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 You are not limited. Limitless is an illusion. Being broke is an illusion. Being broke is an illusion. You are not limited. You are not limited. You are not limited. You are not limited. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. It is not real. 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 What is real is what you say is real. What is real is what you say is real. It is not real. It is not real. The only thing that is real is who I am and what I told you. The only thing that is real is who I am and what I told you. Every other thing is an illusion. It is not real. And you will learn the power of your words again. And you will learn to not call things as they are. You will learn to call those things that be not as though they were. You will learn, you will learn, you will learn. And when you forget, get back into your company. When you forget, seek out your company. When you forget, seek out your company, because you will start to unlearn. You will unlearn what the world has taught you about yourself, who they told you your personality is, what they told you about how you are, what they told you about how limited you are. You will remember that I create two ways, perfectly and abundantly. Only. You'll begin to talk to me. You will stop thinking you are talking to yourself. You will stop thinking you are just thinking. You will remember the picture, and so you will know that when you think a thought, it is me thinking through you. When you have an idea and it sounds ridiculous, you will remember that I am in you and you are in me and we're all in God. You will remember. You are not Joyce. You are God. You are not Mego. You are God. You are not Keju. You are God. You are not Ichoma. You are God. You are not Timitope. You are God. You are not Nike. You are God. You are not Tayo. You are God. You are not Adiola. You are God. You are not Ufon. You are God. 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 You are, as I am, the grand overall designer. You are the grand overall designer. This is your playground. I gave you this as a playground to create. The way you give your children toys, I gave you this one as your playground to test your hand in creation. How dare you fall? How dare you settle? How dare you believe the monopoly money? How dare you believe that monopoly money is real money? Remember. You thought you came to learn about money? You thought you came to learn about money? Money is you will call money. And the book says when money starts coming, it comes at such a rate you wonder where it has ever been before. You will call money because you are God over money. You will call it. You will call it to serve you. You will call it. You'll be like, why hiding thus from me? You will walk into places. Your heart will be beating, but your identity will be confident. You will enter there and you will say, looking for me. You may not know it yet, but you're looking for me. And every now and again, he'll do something that will jolt your awareness. That will jolt your awareness. And every now and again, when you ask for something audacious, heaven will smile. So you're not intimidating God. Heaven will smile and say, she just passed by that land and she looked at it and said, someday you will belong to me. You'll pass by that abandoned building. You start to walk around like you are a crazy person according to the world's standards. You start to go to places. You start to drive around your vicinity, not hustling, but looking for territories to take over. You belong to me. Building, I know you. I need you. You belong to me. You'll start to ask questions. Who owns this building? I'm renting it, but have you ever thought of selling it? If you want to sell it, how much will it be? I will buy it from you. Just take our time. Let's take our time. You'll start to talk in the manner of God. It will sound foolish at first because it's foolishness to them that do not believe. It will also sound foolish to your logical mind that has been programmed to live in the world. But every now and again, your spirit will say, take a walk. Look at that building. Take a child here. Check that cruise. Google the UN. Who are the people that are vice presidents? Where do they gather? Where do they stay? You start to enter into the awareness of where your dream is. Who are those people? Who's the governor's advisor? Who speaks into the ear of the president? What's their name? Who are they? Let me know who my colleagues are. You'll go to the car dealership. You'll go to the home, whatever. You'll ask them how much the house is. You'll ask them to send you the brochure. You'll look at it. You'll say, this is chicken change. This is chicken change. And even when your mind is saying, wow, chicken change, you have 5,000 naira. You'll be like, I don't judge by the sight of my eyes or the hearing of my ears. I'm like my brother. My father told my brother not to judge by the sight of his eyes or the hearing of his ears. Same thing he told me. I will not judge by the sight of my eyes or the hearing of my ears. I am creator. I'm creator. I'm creator. I remember who I am. I remember who I am.